What's going on everybody, welcome to today's video of Free-to-Play Arlecchino Showcase. After spending half an hour skipping through the quest and get lost in this underground maze, I finally found my way to the boss and maxed out the girl to level 90. So in this video, I'm gonna show you what a free-to-play Arlecchino really looks like at the very best, along with some team showcases for her. So like usual, let's start with my build for her first. Level 90 C0 Arlecchino with 3-star weapon White Tassel. For your information, this weapon is only obtainable for Lia's treasure chest, so some of you might not have it at R5. In that case, your best alternative will be the Black Cliff, which costs you 5 pulls, or the Massive Wind Spear for the previous event if you're going for any Vaporize teams. Now as for the artifact, I'm going for the 4-piece Gladiator set as most of the damage comes from the normal attacks. It's just slightly weaker than her best set, so if you already have an insane set like me, there's absolutely zero reason to find this new set for her unless you're pulling her C2 and above. By the way, using Attack Goblet is actually a good choice for her as she already has a very decent damage bonus for the weapon, talent and artifact. Also, it helps you reaching the 3000 attack to max out the 20% damage resistance from her passive talent, making it easier to keep her alive. So it's basically 2 birds with 1 stone. As for her talent, just straight out ignore her skill and burst, as their damage is already quite pathetic compared to normal attacks. Upgrading them is totally a waste of your resources, especially the burst since it doesn't even increase her healing, which is kinda funny in a sense. Well anyway, that's basically everything about my build, so let's get into the damage showcase. Against single target, you are able to get 130 life bomb at maximum, which allows you to do 20 hits before the infusion ends. Now as you see, her damage starts off incredibly strong at the beginning, but it quickly falls off for each consecutive hits, until you reach the 30% Bond of Life, which the infusion ends. Now here's a small trick for you. If you choose not to use her burst at all, you are able to save out what's remaining of the Bond of Life for the next rotation to boost your overall damage as you start with 160 life bond instead of 130. In overall exploration, you can even stack it to maximum 200% with this way, as you have all the time to wait for the 30-second cooldown of a skill. So that's the reason why it's highly recommended to bring Zhongli for her, as you can't heal at all if you wanna play like this. On the other hand, despite Arlecchino bans all healing from teammates, Bennett still provides an insane value for her with his attack buff, which almost doubles her damage just like that. It will be even more if you're using Pyro Goblet on Arlecchino. Well, that's about the solo performance, so now let me show you some of the best team for her. I think we all agree that DPS is everything in this game, so let's start with the strongest team for Arlecchino, the Suicide Squad. By trading off all your survival options, you have a team that's insanely broken that it absolutely obliterates everything in the blink of an eye, herself included. Funnily enough, at the same time, it's also the most budget team for her, which is quite ridiculous in my opinion. But of course, since Arlecchino bans all healing, she dies just as fast as enemies die, especially under the debuffs of Venus Self-Pyro. So only try this team if you're some sort of masochist like me. By the way, a safer alternative for this team is to switch out Fischl for Beidou. Obviously the damage will be lower than the former, but as return, you gain almost 40% damage reduction, which definitely helps a lot in keeping her alive. A very good trade in my opinion, because after all, you have to be alive to deal damage. Just remember to stack a ton of ER on Beidou, as she's insanely hard to recharge as solo electro in the team. Alternatively, you can choose to go for a double electro to mitigate Beidou's energy problem, especially if you absolutely despise Circle Impact. However, I really don't recommend this at all, as the damage drop is just far too heavy that there's no reason to stick with Overload anymore. After all, Overload is such a trash reaction that Chivalrous alone is not strong enough to justify its downsides, so it's best for you to go for other teams. Like I mentioned earlier, Zhongli is one of the best teammates for her, which brings us to the good old reliable, the double Hydro Vaporize team. Needless to say, the double protection from Zhongli and Xingqiu basically makes you invulnerable to any attacks, allowing us to safely ignore her burst healing for higher form of life stats. Honestly, among all other team choices, this team definitely feels the best to play as it has the most balanced aspect between survival, damage and ease of control. I highly recommend this for daily casual plays. By the way, unlike Hu Tao who is able to vaporize on every charge attack, Arlecchino is like a Yoimiya who can only vaporize on every 3 hits, which is not really that effective and efficient. So there's no need to stack elemental mastery on her if you plan to play this team. Also, since her rate of duration isn't that high, solo Hydro with either Yelan or Xingqiu is already enough for her, so it's okay for you to try any of them for Bennett if you prefer more damage. It's definitely much stronger than double Hydro, but you have to deal with the circle impact, which is not something I personally really found out. But still, the damage boost is just too good for her, so we have no choice but to bring him for the maximum performance.
Here comes the catch.
On the other hand, switching Yelan to Kazuha changes it into a Hypercarry team, which is the exact same team composition as Lini. Like father, like son, eh? Well, anyway, with the addition of Kazuha, you have a much better experience when dealing with clouds, which is one of the weaknesses Arlecchino has. Besides, she synergizes extremely well with Kazuha, as you can freely switch character at any time for burst and grouping without losing the Pyro infusion. A very nice feat, especially against multiple waves. Furthermore, with these 3 strongest supports in the game, it gives you the biggest damage number among all other teams, making it an extremely satisfying team to play if you're Arlecchino mains. Remember that this is just C0 with 3-star weapon, and her talent is not even maxed yet.
Let's light it up! I'm going in!
Now at last, you can try the double draw with Chori, which is the best team for you to chill and relax. Since Arlecchino is already a strong DPS, why put your effort on messing with the energy relation, form of life, all these kind of complicated things? Just forget everything about them for once and embrace the beauty of crystallizations. But honestly, even though crystallization really sucks, it's actually a very decent team that's comparable to all her other teams meta-wise, which is kinda surprising to see even for myself. So don't be shy to try it out. Well, that's basically everything about this free-to-play Arlecchino showcase. As for my review, in my opinion, she might be one of the strongest DPS right now, if only Neuvillette doesn't exist. Although her damage is good, the fact that she can't be healed basically makes her inseparable with Zhongli if you wanna have a good experience with her. He's the only guy who can keep her alive. But if you don't have him, well, it's best for you to skip her at the moment. After all, the next country is the Pyro country, which will definitely introduce another Pyro DPS, possibly as broken as Neuvillette. So only go for her if you really like this character. That's basically my review of C0 Arlecchino. Well, that's all for this video, and I wish you all good luck in your pulls. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.